Welcome back to camp for the series conclusion. This is the last episode of the Woodcraft and Camping series. It's been a lot of fun to make, but I thought that today I would go over my kind of afterthoughts on the book and what I've thought about the experience of setting everything up around this camp and doing things in the fashion that Nessmuk describes in Woodcraft and Camping. I suppose I'll start by talking about the double bit hatchet, which is probably Nessmuk's most notable piece of kit that he used. And I have to say I'm really impressed with how well this performed. Now, it should be noted, a lot of the camps that Nessmuk stayed in where he was doing larger work, like what I've done here with the large back logs and the logs for the outdoor range and getting firewood, typically those larger, more permanent camps had a full-size axe in them, so he wasn't doing everything with his little double bit like I was doing. But I just thought it would be interesting to try and do all these tasks with the small little double bit. There's a few mentions in the book where Nessmuk shares his stories about camps that he was in where there was no full-size axe and they relied on their little tiny hatchets to do everything. So that's kind of why I wanted to pursue this camp with just the double bit, to really test it. I mean, not a lot of people go out and test such a small tool on larger wood, so I thought it would be an interesting experience, and I have to say I'm really impressed with how well it did. And I know at the beginning of the series I mentioned that something a little bit bigger and heavier might be more suitable, something around that 1.25 to 1.5 pound range, but this little 1 pound hatchet has really surprised me, and I think that there is certainly enough weight in this head to be effective at pretty much any task that you can throw at it. Of course, with the smaller bits and the lighter weight, it does take a little bit longer to get through those bigger pieces of wood. You do have to make more swings, but again, it's still very doable, and I think most people would be really surprised at how quick those larger tasks actually go. Now, the only drawback that I found with this little hatchet is the handle. The handle is pretty short, and I find that when I'm doing those larger tasks, cutting through bigger pieces of wood, and I want to use two hands for the added security and being able to deliver more strength behind my blows, I find that with one hand it grips right down at the bottom, and my other hand just kind of goes on top of it, and it is kind of uncomfortable to do. And I definitely wore some blisters into my hands from using this little hatchet. So I think something that's a little bit longer would be far more useful. And also the diameter of this handle, it's really tiny, so it wears out your grip pretty quick, and it's just not quite as comfortable as something that had a little bit more of a diameter to it. I mean, right up by the head here, this little part of the handle, this is only 1 inch wide, and it's less than 3/4 of an inch thick. So it's actually pretty surprising that this little piece of wood was able to do all these larger tasks and not break or even show any signs of wear, really. But I guess that's just what you can expect from a good piece of hickory. But all in all, this has been a really, really nice tool to use, and I really enjoy having the two different bits. If you do a lot of chopping, a lot of axe work in the outdoors, chopping pieces of wood down and carving, I think having two different blades on your hatchet is really, really useful. And a lot of people complain about the double bit because of not having a pole, but I mean, out here I was able to do all of my pounding tasks with a wood mallet and had no issues, so not having a pole is no issue of mine. But all in all, this little double bit is really, really nice to use. I should also add that I never sharpened this hatchet during my stay out here, during any of the use throughout any of the videos that you've seen in this series. So these are the same edges that I began with, and they are both in really good shape, actually. I did strop the finer edge a few times throughout my stay here, but I mean, the edge retention has been really good. The utility edge, the thicker edge, it does have a few small little nicks in it that'll be really easy to work out with a stone. But all in all, no issues with the edge retention. It's a good piece of steel, so happy with that. And another thing that I'll get asked about is, since I didn't have a saw out here, whether or not I missed having one in my kit. And I thought initially that I would, especially dealing with the larger pieces of wood, but I didn't find that to be the case. I actually quite enjoyed using this little hatchet, and even using it on the bigger pieces of wood. I found it rather therapeutic to sit there and chop away at them, and it's just fun to get to know your axe a little bit better and to hone those axemanship skills a bit. So I actually didn't miss having a saw at all. I've been really content using this little hatchet. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the wool blanket. So this camp I only had one wool blanket, and you might think that that's not enough to keep yourself warm during the night, especially in these cold, freezing temperatures. And you're right, it's not, at least not by itself. But in a camp like this, you're relying on your campfire for heat. Your radiant heat off the campfire is what keeps you warm throughout the night. And believe me, as soon as your campfire burns low, you're quick to wake up because the cold creeps in pretty fast. But one wool blanket is plenty sufficient so long as you have a properly built campfire. The bow mattress that I made, it's been plenty comfortable. I haven't got cold at all from the ground. I've been really happy with it. And the mattress compared to like a modern sleep pad or something, it honestly, it does a really good job. But you have to remember, back then when Nessmuk was camping, they didn't have lightweight, compact camp mattresses. They pretty much just had wool blankets, and you would have to have quite a few wool blankets layered up to make a comfortable mattress that's going to keep you warm. So that's obviously a lot of weight to carry, which isn't feasible. So that's why it's a bow bed, nice thick mattress of boughs, and a single wool blanket. It's lightweight and plenty warm, especially when you're relying on your campfire for all that heat. Moving on from the sleep kit is the camp cookware. I've been really happy with this set. 2 pots and a pan paired with this little kettle has been pretty much perfect for my needs out here. Having the 2 pots is really handy, especially when it comes to mixing different things for meals and boiling in one, cooking in the other, or holding water in one and cooking. So I think that that's about the perfect cook kit for me, at least, is 2 pots, a pan, and then it's not exactly necessary, but having this extra little kettle is really handy because you can always have tea or coffee or even just boiled water ready to go. And I think pretty much the perfect cook kit would consist of 2 pots. I would prefer for both of them to have their own lid and then also bail handles. I think that'd be really handy. But 2 pots with lids and bail handles, and then a little frying pan, pretty much like this with no handle. You can use a pot gripper for it instead. That'd be about perfect. And then if you could even fit in a little kettle like this that could nest inside of them, then it would be pretty much the perfect cook kit. I've read Woodcraft Camping more times than I can count. I first discovered that book when I was 10 or 11 years old, I believe, and I've read it a lot since then. This is my first time going out and practicing everything from it all at once and building a camp in the fashion that Nessmuk describes. And it's been wildly beneficial to take a look at the kit that he carried and compare it alongside my kit. I think moving forward, I'm going to be paying a lot more attention to pack weight and really just focusing on simplicity. And I guess that's kind of the key takeaway from this camp. If I've learned anything at all from this camp, it's that there's a great deal of enjoyment to be had from a lightweight and simple kit. This series has been so much fun to film, and I really appreciate all of you who've stuck with me throughout it and tuned in each episode. Thank you guys so much. I gotta give all the glory to God on this one, though. I would not be here without him. So, all glory to God. We are pretty much into winter now, and all that's going to be coming on the channel is going to be winter, snow, cold weather camping. And I am so excited for it. I hope that you guys will join me for those future episodes. I will be back soon as I can with the next one. Until then, God bless and happy trails.